Welcome to 1MD Nutrition's YouTube live series. Hi, I'm Jennifer Fontaine, 1MD Nutrition brand manager, coming to you guys live on YouTube. We're so glad to have you guys joining us today. First, we're going to do a little bit of a disclaimer, just to make sure we dot all of our I's and cross all of our T's. This 1MD Nutrition live broadcast presentation only reflects the views of 1MD Nutrition's board certified physicians licensed in the state of California. The statements made in this 1MD YouTube live broadcast presentation have not been evaluated by the FDA, are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, and are intended for educational purposes only. We'll let you read the rest of the disclaimer on your own, and then we will kick it off. All right. We haven't seen you guys in a while. So we're happy to be back. And this month is Healthy Aging Month. And we've been celebrating all month long across all of our social channels. We hope that you guys have enjoyed our content. Culminating today in this YouTube live stream, we're going to be speaking with Dr. Heather Shankman. She is a 1MD physician formulator, CardioFit Md. It's one of my favorite products. And then we'll also be inviting midlife metabolic health and fitness specialist, Tafiq Akhir. We're a big fan of Tafiq, and he's a big fan of the brand, so we're happy to have him here. If you guys want to comment any questions you have for Tafiq or Dr. Shenkman, please do so in the comments, and we will get those questions answered for you guys live here today. And stick around to the end because we're going to be giving away a 3-month supply of CardioFit Md. So definitely worth sticking around for. And now, without further ado, I would love to invite Heather on live from Los Angeles.
Hi, Jen. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Good. I love your background. I love it. I want that typewriter. It's very cool. So, healthy aging. I think everyone sort of has a different definition of what healthy aging means to them. And I'd love to hear from you as an interventional cardiologist. What does healthy aging mean to you?
I think healthy aging to me means getting older, but still feeling young and still feeling like you can do all the things that you want to do without the limitations that we traditionally think are associated with aging.
Absolutely. I agree. I think it's mind, body, spirit, right? It's all of those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
for also community, plugging into community is also healthy aging. That I think is a big part of it as well.
Yes, it most certainly is. If you look at the parts of the world called blue zones where people tend to routinely live well into their hundreds and live well, that's one of the things they all have in common is that they have close family ties and close community ties that keep them going.
Yeah. What do you do? I'd love to hear a little bit about your background. For those who are joining us now and don't necessarily know you and the brand.
Sure. I'm Dr. Heather Shankman. I am an interventional cardiologist. I am based out of Tarzana, California. And what I'm passionate about is not only doing procedures to open up blocked arteries to save lives, but also I'm passionate about helping people to be healthy and to help to prevent them from having issues with the heart in the first place.
Now, I know in addition to you having your own practice, you have a lot of really amazing hobbies that I would love for you to share with our audience because I think you're a rock star.
You're way too kind. I have a passion for endurance sports, and I've done about 100 or so different endurance events, including 2 Ironman distance triathlons. I've run about 15 or so marathons. I've done a handful of century cycling events. I dabbled in masters swimming. I am training for a half marathon endurance race coming up in October. So I definitely have a passion for athletics and practicing what I preach to my patients.
That's so important. It really is, that be the example, lead by example. What do you do to prepare for, let's say the endurance event that you have coming up in October? How are you preparing for that physically and nutritionally?
Well, physically, I am meeting up with my teammates who are going to be doing the event with me. And on the weekend, we'll go for a long hike with a little bit of jogging in it. This weekend, we're supposed to go out and do 12 miles in the mountains of Burbank. That should be fun. I do a little bit of running during the week, but more like strength training and some cardiovascular training as well. Nutritionally, I just try to keep a balanced diet. I try not to overthink things. I usually will have like a salad for lunch and for dinner, stir fry or something with my family. So that's what I do to train for something like this.
I love it. How do you think, just going back to the healthy aging thing, because I think like everything that we're talking about right now really plays into that larger picture of how we help our bodies age in a healthful way, no matter what system, bodily system we're talking about. But talk to us a little bit about specifically how aging affects our heart.
Well, aging affects the heart in so many ways, the heart and the cardiovascular system. For one thing, our heart rate. As we get older, we can't quite get our heart rate as high as perhaps we used to be able to when we were younger. There is traditionally a formula that the maximal heart rate that you can achieve is 220 minus your age. And that's roughly correct, plus or minus like 10 to 20% for people. That said, your resting heart rate is not something that is affected by age. Speaking of heart rate, there definitely are certain abnormal heart rhythms that can be associated with aging. For example, atrial fibrillation, which is an irregular heart rhythm. That's something that people are more likely to experience as they get older. Also, conduction systems that cause slowing of the heart that may require a permanent pacemaker. Those are also things that are more common as people get older. The arteries of the body also become more stiff or more hardened as we get older. As a consequence, the blood pressure tends to, in most people, go up with age. That said, if you have a healthy lifestyle, you're less likely to see those changes on the same scale as somebody who doesn't have a healthy lifestyle. Along with stiffening of the arteries, there's also stiffening of the heart muscle. So people may be more susceptible to fluid overload. The body may not be able to accommodate a diet that has as much salt as you might have been able to when you were younger. And again, these changes of stiffening heart muscle are more common in people who don't necessarily have the healthiest of lifestyles. Other changes that can occur in the cardiovascular system is what we call atherosclerosis or plaque buildup. So plaque gradually over time does build up in the body, but as we get older, we tend to have more of it. The risk of heart attack and stroke increases as we get older. In particular, this is more common in men at younger ages than women, but women, when we tend to reach menopause and our estrogen levels drop, our risk of heart attack and stroke goes up as a consequence of that. Also, there are the veins of the body, particularly the veins of the leg. Veins have what we call valves that help to return fluid back to the heart. As we get older, those valves don't work quite as well, and as a consequence, it may be more common to have swelling of the legs. So these are just some of the changes that occur with the cardiovascular system as we get older.
And so, especially when we're talking about things like the stiffening of our vascular system, the stiffening of our heart muscles, and things like that, talk to us about, are there ways in which we can not necessarily fully prevent, but at least slow slow this process down?
There are definitely ways that we can slow this process down. And quite honestly, it really gets to the basics, making sure that you are somebody who is staying active, getting exercise. The recommendations are at a minimum 30 minutes, but really preferably closer to an hour of exercise about 5 days per week. And that's typically cardiovascular exercise, things that get your heart rate up. In addition to that, strength training to help to keep your muscles strong, to help to maintain balance. That's also going to be helpful. In addition, a healthy diet, a diet that includes plenty of fruits and vegetables and whole grains, with less processed foods, more meals at home as opposed to restaurant foods, and really leaning towards a more plant-based type of diet is going to be helpful for our bodies as we get older. That said, also staying away from cigarette smoking, moderating any alcohol intake as well. These are things that are going to help us to age better.
Yeah, that actually brought me right to my next question is like, what are we doing that's really bad for our heart? What should we stop like today? So smoking for sure, like moderating alcohol for sure. Um, Nutrition obviously is a big part of it. What are your like your biggest pieces of advice too that people do all the time that are not helping their heart?
Well, less and less is smoking, fortunately. Fewer people are smoking in this day and age, but that is always number one. If you are a smoker, my first advice before anything else, number one is quit smoking. It's a hard thing to do. I've seen so many patients who've struggled with it. I myself, I've never been a smoker, but I've had enough patients who I've seen who have been determined, who have made the decision and stuck with it and quit and have seen better health as a consequence of quitting smoking. Nutrition and exercise definitely are priorities. The more you move, especially as you get older, the better the food you put into your body, the better you're going to do. Alcohol as well. Um, the thought is that the more alcohol you consume, really, you are increasing all-cause mortality. Now, that's not to say that you can't have a drink here and there at a social occasion, or maybe occasionally a glass of wine with dinner, but habitually drinking more than one alcoholic beverage per day, and especially drinking large quantities, or even what we call binge drinking, which is drinking large quantities of alcohol sporadically, like one day a week, having several alcoholic beverages. Those are things that are going to increase the speed of aging and have other consequences on health that are negative.
I was a smoker. I'll admit it. I was one of those that, it took me a very long time to finally stick with it and quit. Four times a charm is what they don't say, but that's what happened with me. And I'm happy to say that it's been more than a decade now since that. But it's very hard. And I would say a lot of these things, they sound easy, but in fact, when you're this, all human beings are habitual people. We love our little creatures of habit, as they say. So what are some tricks that you would offer? I'm sure like you talk about this ad nauseum with your patients all the time, trying to encourage and support them in implementing these healthy habits.
Right. I think that one important tip is not to try to take it all on at once, to say, okay, I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to start exercising 5 days a week for an hour. And I am going to, stop eating red meat and eat salads day in, day out. If you try to set yourself up to do all of that at once and you can't do it, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. So maybe I think for a lot of people, it's good to focus on one thing that they know that they can achieve. And when I'm talking to my patients about making better choices for their health, one thing I'll say before they go is, okay, let's pick one thing that you can do that we can talk about at your next visit that you think that you can achieve for your better health? And we get back to our discussion of what types of lifestyle issues that they have, and we make that a goal for the next visit. And when I see them again in a couple of months, we talk about how that went and whether they were successful, and we build on that.
I love that idea of just like taking the one thing, like just starting small. I just started reading this book, or I actually just finished reading this book called Atomic Habits. And I mean, that's the core of any, like really sticking to any one habit is just understanding it, how it fits into your current daily habit structure, and just doing that one thing, starting small. It's a great piece of advice. I love it. Um, how let's talk about nutrition, because I know like you're tell us a little bit about the book that you wrote, and
Oh,
because that'll help us segue into, I want to talk more specifics about food and what are really great foods that are accessible to people, that will help support their heart health.
great. Thank you for asking about my book. I wrote a book called The Vegan Heart Doctor's Guide to Reversing Heart Disease, Losing Weight, and Reclaiming Your Life. And the reason I wrote it is because I just wanted to convey to people, this is what I want you to do with your lifestyle. These are the things that you can do to make yourselves be healthier and to keep your heart healthy. And in the book, I talk about exercise, I talk about nutrition, and I talk about other things like managing stress and then putting it all together for whole heart health. Um, and I do spend a lot of time talking about nutrition. Now, I personally, I am a vegan. I've been a vegan for now 17 years. Much of it is because I love animals and I can't imagine harming them for me to eat lunch. But that said, I'm not pushing all of my patients to go vegan tomorrow. What I do encourage is leaning more in a plant-based direction, which I think everybody can look to doing that. So, incorporating more vegetables, more fruits in the diet, looking to more plant-based choices, at the very least, reducing or eliminating red and processed meats, because we know that red and processed meats increase the risk of heart disease and increase the risk of certain kinds of cancers. So I really encourage my patients to make small changes at a time in their diet, or even, if they feel like they're motivated to overhaul their diet to a healthier way of eating, by all means.
I have this vivid recollection of some morning talk show. I can't remember really which one, or maybe I just won't even say it. But they did this experiment with the this group of people that all had certain massive issues, whether it was diabetes or very big problems that they were dealing with health wise, and they gave them, I mean, just like pounds of fruits and vegetables that they had to consume every day. It was like, you can eat as much as you want, but you have to finish this. And by the end of the experiment, the dramatic improvement in the health of those people was just astonishing. It's amazing. They say eat your vegetables. We really
Wow.
have to all do a better job of eating our vegetables. I started, this was like another like nod to habits. I started just like putting a big bowl of beautiful fresh fruit on the counter in the kitchen, that you can see it as soon as you walk in the kitchen door. And the amount of fruit that my family started consuming from the day that I put that bowl on the counter was like 30% more than what we had been before. So it just like making it easy accessible to grab, and putting it in your site, I think, is another fun way to sort of like help us all.
Jen, that's a great idea. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to hear, because I know, like, as we've been talking about, I'm sure you give your patients a lot of advice on, health, nutrition, fitness, ways that they can support. What's the one piece of advice that you give your patients all the time that they never listen to, that you think, gosh, if you would just do this one thing, it would make such a big difference?
Yeah, I like to think about it this way. If I could provide you something that would help to give you more energy, reduce your risk of depression and anxiety, that would help you to lose weight, that would naturally lower blood pressure, that would naturally lower your blood sugars, that would naturally make you more energetic. Like that is what I would offer you. And what is that? Exercise. Just getting out the door. If you're somebody who does not do any exercise, just getting out and like even walking for 5 minutes a day or a couple of times a day, starting there, you're going to notice and feel dramatic benefits. So that's the one piece of exercise. That is the one piece of advice that I would give people is if you're not moving, move more. Exercise. It's so good for you.
Yes, I love that. It's one thing I need to do more of, that's for sure. This has been so great. I wanted to talk a little bit. It's a non sequitur, but I think it's plays into exactly like what you were just talking about in finding that energy to be able to do more. Of course, exercise is that cycle, right? The cycle that helps you to do more. The more exercise you do, the more exercise you can do. Um, and you have worked with us to create this incredible product called CardioFit Md. So why don't you just like give a high level overview for our audience members who are listening about this amazing product that I love, that I take, and let them know how it can benefit them as well.
Great. So CardioFit MD is this powder that you can put into water, you can put in juice, you mix it up. It's got all sorts of good things in it. The main key ingredient of it is beetroot, which helps to improve nitric oxide. It helps to dilate arteries. And it's got lots of good stuff in it that's really great for your heart and that I think is fantastic.
And it's yummy too. It's really
It is
delicious.
yummy, yes.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Shenkman. It was such a pleasure to have you on. It was so fun to see you.
Good to see you as well, Jen.
Yes, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye.
I love her. She's so great. She's so inspirational. I'm gonna run a triathlon one day. I swear. It's on my list now because of Dr. Shenkman. Our next guest, Tafiq, I mentioned him at the top of the show. He is a midlife and metabolic health and fitness specialist. He's a huge healthy aging advocate, and we're big fans. And we're so excited to finally have him here in the studio. Tafiq, where are you?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to have you here. We're such huge fans of you.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'm happy to be here as well.
Well, tell us a little bit. What is a metabolic health specialist? I mean, that sounds like right up my alley.
So I really specify that it's metabolic health because a lot of times when people think about the metabolism, they only think about it in terms of weight loss, right? They think of cutting calories in this, but the metabolic health is so much more encompassing than that. A stroke is called a metabolic stroke. It actually has to do with diabetes, heart disease, all these other things are all contingent on our metabolic health. And these are all things that tend to decline as we get older. So I actually specify my training on helping people to reverse illness, feel better, make sure that they have longevity and vitality as they get older.
What a great job.
Yeah, well, yes, I really do love what I do. I actually got into it after learning more about, how nutrition and fitness work with the body and realizing that so many of the health problems that my mother suffered from as she got older and ended up passing away from these illnesses could have been reversed just by changing how she ate, getting more physical activity, and making more better lifestyle changes. Just like Dr. Shenkman just said, it's mind, body, and spirit all working together. You can't have a fulfilled, healthy life without all three working together.
It's so true. I look to my mother as an example all the time. She has osteoporosis. She has atrial fibrillation, as Dr. Shenkman was talking about earlier. She's got osteoarthritis. So I'm all about prevention. Using her as a model. Not that she hasn't done a really great job of trying to take care of herself, but
Mhm.
we can always do better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And, and a lot of times, especially with people who are like over 40, 50, sometimes they think they're doing the right thing, and it may not necessarily be what's right for them. That's one of the other things that I really specify, is that different people have different needs. So the one size approach doesn't work for everyone because everyone doesn't need the same thing, right? So this is why two people can do the same workout. One gets great results, the other gets horrible results. It's not because they're not doing it right, it's because their body needs something different.
So true. It's so true. And as I come into a different stage of life, let's
Mhm.
say,
Yeah.
I'm like premenopausal. I just had
Mhm.
my doctor's checkup. I'm getting my, all my hormones checked, and making sure my bone density is on, staying at the right levels. And I think like all of those play a factor in not only your diet, but also how you approach fitness. And I would love to hear from you specifically, because this is really your specialty,
Mhm.
is like, what would be the difference between, how a 30-year-old approaches their health and nutrition as opposed to like a 60-year-old, for example?
Yeah, so this is a big one that I deal with when people come to me for assistance with their health and wellness. And it's that I always tell people, like, your 50-year-old digestive tract is not the same as your 30-year-old digestive tract, right? So you're going to need something different. The same goes with all your physical activity, the different things that you do throughout life. You have to make sure that you're honing in on what your specific body needs at this stage of your life. Another thing is that when you go through menopause, as Dr. Shenkman said, different things happen in your body, but also estrogen and progesterone dissipate. And estrogen and progesterone work with every other hormone in your body. So you may be someone who had, let's say you had an adrenal fatigue before you had menopause. When menopause kicks in and the estrogen goes away, the estrogen is no longer there to buffer that adrenal support. So guess what? Your adrenals are going to be in more distress. So if you had an adrenal issue prior, your needs are going to be very different than someone that doesn't have an adrenal distress. This is also why different people have different menopause symptoms. Oftentimes, the symptoms of menopause, like hot flashes, anxiety, and things like that, can also be correlated to other metabolic distresses like a thyroid problem or an adrenal problem or liver distress. Hot flashes are a side effect of thyroid problems, adrenal problems, and other areas as well. So it may not even be the menopause per se that's causing the issue. It's the fact that the estrogen is gone and not able to help with the other areas that could be causing those symptoms as well.
So much to consider when you're
Yeah.
aging. My
Yes.
mom has a saying, getting old is not for sissies. That's what she
Right.
says. Like,
I love
I
that.
I can tell you that for sure. Having torn two ACLs and gone through
Mhm.
like a hemothyroidectomy, and like,
Mhm.
I'm still vibrant and here and like going to be 50. And I think that like so many people, they have events within their lives that sort of like change their course or their
Mhm.
ability to stay active and physical and fit. And I'd love to hear a little bit, because I think that as you age, as your mobility and your flexibility and things like that, tend to decline. What are what are some easy adaptations that people can make to a fitness routine to help keep them active and not so down on themselves because they can't necessarily do what they used to be able to do?
Well, I always like to like when people come to me, I really like to encourage them to start, you have to start looking at health and wellness in a different way. Like most of the time when we're doing things, we're looking at from a standpoint of ego, right? We want to be able to lift a certain amount of weights. We want to be able to run a certain distance. We want to be able to get jump on the highest box that we can doing box jumps. That's coming from a place of ego rather than coming from a place of health. What does your body need for you to do? Does your body need you to go for a run, or does your body need you to go for a brisk walk? Which is going to be most beneficial for you not to have inflammation in your knees, for you not to have back problems? And so many people just want to focus on what they want to do instead of what they need to do. So I always say, look at it from a health perspective first, and then I try to give them a physical activity plan that's based on that. But one of the things, and like Dr. Shenkman said, one of the easiest things that you can do is just to start walking. And what's great about walking is that you can do it anywhere. It's free. You don't need any equipment, and you can also go at different intensities based on where you are. The more walking you do, the stronger you're going to get. So if you want to make it more intense, you can start walking uphill. You can add stairs. You can actually also add dumbbells and do upper body exercises while you're walking. Walking is one of the things that can really change people's lives. I've had a client once that had heart problems, and she just started walking every day after she was done with her dinner. Her and her husband walked for an hour, hour and a half every day, and within 6 months she lost 60 pounds and improved her health just by walking. She didn't have to do anything extra. Walking was all that she did. Yes.
Wow, that's incredible. I gotta tell you, my husband, he started walking daily just recently, and I've been wanting to get in on the action. I just haven't yet. So maybe
What's
this is my,
stopping you?
I know. Work. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, no,
Excuses.
no,
That's
no.
what's
I was
going.
gonna say,
Come
don't you make that excuse.
Excuses. No, it's true. I mean, look, I did start, like, I have this habit. I've been talking a lot about habits today, but I think it's important, right? I
Yes.
think, like, we're all struggling. And so just using myself, like, as an example. But I put in my habit tracker, drink a gallon of water a day, do some arm exercises. Like, at least, I am just being more physical every day for sure.
Yeah.
I really want to start the walking though. I think
Yeah.
this is like my sign that
Yeah.
Tafiq
And
says, Jen.
and just by what you just said, the way that you said do arm exercises doesn't sound like it's something that you're looking forward to. You know what I mean? So you already have a negative connotation with it. So you want to switch it to something that's going to be easier for you to do. And what's easier than walking? You can set a timer on your phone for 10 minutes and just go for a 10-minute walk. And then when the timer goes off, you walk back. And guess what? That's a 20-minute walk you just did.
I love
Very
it.
simple, just super easy to walk around your block once. I had a client once that couldn't get outside, and I had her literally walk around her coffee table for 10 minutes. And she was like, her knees felt better. She got more mobility in her body just by doing just whatever you can do in your span of space, do it.
I love that. I absolutely love that. It's accessible to everyone, whether you can get out the door or not.
Yep.
It's
No
so simple.
excuses. No excuses.
It's so simple. Oh gosh. So tell me, I want to kind of back up because I asked Dr. Shenkman this at the top of the live stream, and I love because I have my own definition of what healthy aging means, and I'd love to hear what you think. How do you define?
I can piggyback a little bit off of what Dr. Shankman said. And for me, it's just all about being able to be as healthy, fit, and vibrant as you can for as long as you can be. For me, that's what healthy aging is. And there's so many different things, like we said, that you can do, but just making sure that you're eating a healthy diet. And again, healthy is going to be different for different people. But again, fresh vegetables. And I always say you want to eat the rainbow. The more variety of different colors of vegetables that you can have, the better as well, because different colors provide different nutrition value for our bodies that our bodies need. Red gives something that green doesn't, and so on and so forth. So you want to mix those things. So the more colors you can have in a day, the more nutrient dense your foods are going to be. That's going to help you with healthy aging, and it's going to help you prevent illness, prevent muscle aches, inflammation, which is the cause of most disease. So healthy aging is just really about making choices that are going to improve your health and vitality so that you're able to age with grace well into your 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond.
Oh, I'm trying to unmute. Sorry. I love the that sort of like visual of eating a rainbow, and I
Mhm.
do try to do that. I love vegetables and fruits, so it's not like a big deal for me. But just seeing all of that beautiful food on a plate, it's screaming to you, as opposed to like something anemic looking on a plate. You know, like
Well, like you said, you put the fruit on the table, and your family was instantly, attracted. I actually have a bowl of fruit that I have in my office on my desk, and I can recall actually my landlady who lives up, who's her space is upstairs. She came down to talk to me, and when she walked in, she saw that, and she instantly wanted fruit. She was like, "Do you mind?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not. That's what it's here for." And
yeah.
it is because, and hey, it's delicious fruit. Come on.
Yeah, it's just like it's almost like an engineer, like an environment engineering to really like visually show the cues of the healthy habits that you want to have in your
Yeah.
life. I think maybe I'm going to put my walking shoes next to the front door.
There you go. That's one of they say one of the things to do is like first thing when you get up, put on your exercise clothes, and you're more apt to go to the gym than if you don't.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's great. Um, I wanted to know, I have one question because I know some people um it's kind of like a slippery slope when you are stuck in that unhealthy thing, mentality. You kind of, um, you can experience depression. You can feel sort of like ostracized from your friends and family, unplugged, and stuff like that. What would be like one word of advice that you might give to a person that is struggling with this to kind of like pull them out of that and get them active again?
So when I approach people that have what I call a health and wellness block, it's like they're blocking themselves from doing those things. Is really trying to understand what the root of it is, right? You have to find out what is behind that. For some people, it could be, maybe they grew up in a household where their mother shamed them for the way they ate, or it could, you never know what it is. And it goes back how we were saying mind, body, spirit. You have to also focus on that mind element and then working on re-engineering that so that they're approaching things differently, kind of similar to what I just said to you. Like you have this approach to arm exercises, so you already have a negative connotation with it, right?
Mhm.
So let's change that. Like, why was arm exercises that response, right? Was it because you had an experience where you hated the exercises you were doing, or is it just exercising in general? Then you want to find out what that is and then find a different thing to put in it. One of the things that I do with my coaching clients is I try to find out what their bad behaviors are and what the triggers are for those bad behaviors, and then we want to make a new trigger that's going to trigger a good behavior. So whatever that was, like let's say someone goes to a coffee place every morning, right? And when they get there, they smell the bakery goods, so they end up getting a muffin. Well, we know that smelling that bakery good was their trigger. So guess what? Instead of doing that, how about we get a coffee thermos and make coffee at home, right? And guess what? That frees up some time that you can go and do something else, or you can go for a walk, or you can do something rather than staying in line waiting for that coffee. You could be doing something else that's more beneficial, that's going to give a more healthy trigger rather than going there and having that mental trigger every time you go there. Just finding different ways to make negative things into a positive thing for you. if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It really is just, it's a lot. I mean, you should have like a psychology degree. It's
Well,
like,
it's funny. One of the courses that I took, a large part of our nutrition training was psychology, because when you're talking to people, it is food is a very emotional thing for a lot of people. And again, it goes back to how we were raised. It could be based on just having a family dinner. That's an emotional attachment that you have to it, or it could be that you were forced to finish your plate and you hate it, so now you have a different so it's all about, again, redefining what those things mean to you. And also it's about, what is the purpose? Like, what is your purpose for wanting to do this? The more important that purpose is for you, the easier it's going to be to make those changes. So I always start out with finding out what it is that you really want to accomplish. Now let's find out what those blocks are that are preventing you from do that, reframe those blocks, and then get you on the path to healthy living.
I love it. I love it. Some great advice, Tafiq.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I know you were on our last photo shoot. I
Yes.
just want to say those images are beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
I know that you have taken CardioFit MD as well. And I'd love to hear your feedback on the product. If you want to tell people, our audience, those tuning in, a little bit about your experience with the product.
Yeah, for sure. So, first of all, so in my job, I'm very active, right? I'm constantly moving around, and I found that midday I would usually get like a yearning for some coffee to get my midday pick me up. But I can honestly say that since I've been using CardioFit MD, which has only been just under a month now, that I have not needed that afternoon coffee pick me up, which has also been a great benefit. And I don't get the caffeine jitters that I got from the coffee either, which I actually love, because it feels more natural energy, which I think is great. I also actually love the addition to the CardioFit MD, where they have the probiotics and the prebiotics as part of it as well, because I hate to take pills. So that's another thing. And just my background, which I don't think I've ever even discussed with you guys, is that I had a stroke many years ago. And so as a stroke survivor, just the fact that it supports healthy circulation and healthy blood pressure levels is just an added bonus for me as well.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that. My goodness.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're here with us today, and we really appreciate all your support, and we can't wait to have you back for sure
Well,
on the
thank
next
you so
one.
much. Yes, and
Yeah.
I would love to do it. You guys are great. I love interacting with everyone. Everyone has just been amazing. And the product, like I said, I love the product. I'm actually trying to work it into some things with some of my clients that I have doing that are doing more cardiovascular type workouts and stuff like that, that I know are kind of hung up on the coffee thing. So now that I know that they don't need the coffee, I'm going to try to get them to start using the CardioFit MD as well.
Oh, that's great. We can't wait
Yeah.
to hear their experience. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Maybe we'll have them on. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll hear from them as well next time. We'll check in.
absolutely. I'm sure they'd love that too. So they're very supportive of things I do. So I think that they would be up for that as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tafiq. I hope you
Great.
have a
Thank you.
wonderful rest of your day,
Absolutely.
and we'll all see you soon.
Great. But this went so fast. Wow.
I
But I had a great time, and thank you so much for having me, and talk to you guys soon.
Absolutely. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Oh man, he's so great. I absolutely, I love his advice. I'm gonna start walking. I know my husband, maybe you can hear me now. I'm gonna join you walking, babe. It's so simple. I mean, the way they make it sound so easy. But then it's just up to us, right, to do it. So we gotta all start doing it. Speaking of doing it, we are announcing our CardioFit giveaway winner, Rebecca Contreras. Congratulations. You have won a 3-month supply of CardioFit MD. It's my favorite product. And I have a lot of favorite products from 1MD, as you can probably imagine, working with the company for 5 years. Being Mother 1MD as I am, they're all my little babies. But CardioFit MD is literally like your best friend. It's all inclusive nutritional support. It's a multivitamin. It's probiotics. It's pre-fiber. It's really great. All the beetroot, the rhodiola, it's good. So you guys got to try it. Rebecca, please email us at support@1md.org so we can orchestrate getting your product over to you. And that's it for this edition of 1MD Nutrition YouTube live stream. We will see you guys next time. It's always an honor to be with you guys and talking with you. And we will see you next time. Have a great day, everyone.